All right, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for having me. Yes, as Lindsay mentioned, my name is Angela Russell. I'm one of the HR trainers with Learning and Organizational Development. We're going to talk about emotional wellness. I did drop in chat a notes page as a copy of the slides. So if you all want to have those and take some notes while we're going along, that's perfectly fine. So happy to see some familiar faces. Some of you probably know me from the OU physician side, where I was a recruiter, and I also oversaw, at that time it was OU Fit, and helped launch this Fit Start program that you all are a part of. I'm so happy that we're still continuing that with Lindsay and Kaylee. They have done a good job. They've tweaked some things. I'm so excited that we've kept that momentum, because I really do believe it's a good program, if I must say so myself. But I couldn't get my team to join this year. I think I kind of beat them up a little bit last year, and so I couldn't get my team to join this year. But hopefully next year, hopefully with this time off, we'll be able to get involved. So talking about emotional wellness, well, if you're not familiar with emotional intelligence, that's one of the workshops that we have on our team. We had the liberty of creating that workshop, and I think it's going to be so important to our wellness. Actually, I know it's important to our wellness. So on this slide here, you see our team with Learning and Organizational Development. As Lindsay mentioned, if you haven't taken any of our classes, then you probably haven't met our team. If you have, I'm thankful that you have, because we have a lot of really good classes. But let's talk about emotional intelligence. So in chat, I want you to tell me how you're feeling today. And you don't have to use one of those little emojis that you see on the screen. If you're feeling a different kind of way, that's okay. But go ahead and tell me how you're feeling today in chat. Okay, we got confident. I love it. Exhausted. A lot of us are feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, cold, tired, gloomy, nervous. Happy. Got some happy people. Good. Cheerful, nervous. Okay, content, maintaining. All right, we got Laura that's just kind of maintaining. Gloomy, curious, good. We got someone that loves the cold, content. Weather can make you feel a little bit down. Yeah. Happy about the Super Bowl. Okay, we got another happy person, for different reasons though, probably. A little bit stressed, Super Bowl disappointed. We got some disappointed people in our house too. Tired, it's a good day, shocked. All right, well, thank you for participating. How many of you like this question that's asked when you're in the workplace? Hey, Stephanie, how are you doing? Tracy, how are you doing? Lindsay, how are you doing? How do you all feel about that question? You got some people that hate it. Okay. Depends on the mood. Mary appreciates it. Kamithra said, not a problem. I'm fine is the typical answer. Some people say they don't answer honestly. You're absolutely right. Makes you feel appreciated, depends on who's asking. Right, we've got all these emotions around this question, and a lot of you are absolutely right. It depends on who's asking that question. How close am I to that person, where I feel like that I can open up and really share how my emotion is? Or do I not know them? Are they even asking the question? Do they really want to know how I'm doing? A lot of times we just ask that question as a way to say hi. And we really don't care, because have you ever been that person? I've been that person, like, hey, how are you? And I get caught off guard because I think they're going to say, I'm fine. And then they go into this whole spiel of how they're not feeling fine. And I think, ooh, where did I open up this can of worms? They're TMI, they're giving me too much information. I was a rhetorical question. I was just saying hi, and I got caught into this hour-long description of what's really going on in their life. So, you know, again, if we feel comfortable with that person, if we trust that person, yeah, we may open up a little bit. Some of us may not open up at all, even if we feel trusted. But guess what? We are all born with emotions. All of us, we're all born with emotions. But yeah, only 34% of people truly recognize those emotions. That means about 3/4 of us don't really talk about our emotions or don't step into those emotions. And in this day and age, where we're in this COVID environment, wearing masks, where some of us are working from home, some of us are in the office, but maybe some of our colleagues are not in the office. We're separated from our family members and our friends. We've got all these emotions we're trying to deal with. And some of those we don't know how to deal with them. And that creates some mental instability. So what we've done is, because we've got this emotion and we don't know what we're doing with it, we're stuffing it deep down in there. And now when this emotion comes to surface, we're not sure what to do. And that's really what emotional intelligence is. It's learning how to deal with these emotions. So we have 5 core emotions. Some of you said you were happy today, and that's one of the emotions of feeling happy. And when within these emotions, we have different levels of emotions of these 5 core emotions. So the first one is, with being happy, we're elated. Man, we're so excited. Maybe we just started dating. Maybe we just got married. Maybe there's a new baby in the family. Maybe we got a promotion at work, or maybe we just accomplished this really challenging project. And so we're elated. We're really excited about this. Or we could be still happy. We're just pleased. We're pleased with our day. We're pleased how the progress is going. We're just pleased with life in general. So again, we've got this emotion of being happy, but all these other sub emotions, if you will, of happiness. Then we've got sadness. And with sadness, we may feel depressed. Maybe we're depressed because we've lost a loved one. Maybe we're depressed because, man, I can't go see the family members that I want to go see because I don't want to give them the virus. Maybe we're hurt. Someone said something to us and we're not sure how to handle that emotion. Maybe we're just disappointed. We're disappointed because maybe we thought we had a friend in someone and they just kind of disappointed us. And so we're just feeling a little sad about that situation. Or maybe we're disappointed with how we presented a presentation that we were supposed to do. And man, I didn't do as good as I should have done, or I didn't do as well on a test. And man, that just really disappointed me. Then we've got this emotion of being angry. And when we're angry, we're furious, we're irritated. Man, I could tell you when I'm angry, it goes from my toes all the way up to my head. And man, that can happen in a split second too. Depending on what it is, I can feel it. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's an emotion. I can feel that emotion coming into play. Some of us, our faces may get red, our ears may get red, our neck may get red. Some of us, our facial expressions change whenever we get angry. Or we could just be irritated. Man, I've got this pet peeve and it just really irritates me. I'm annoyed by it. So we've got these emotions of being angry. Then we might be afraid, right? We're afraid. We're afraid of the future. We're terrified. A lot of us felt this way in last March, almost a year ago, when COVID came into our lives and we had to adjust our lifestyles. We had to adjust how we were doing work. We had to adjust how we were maintaining our personal lives. And so a lot of us felt fearful, terrified with what the future was going to look like. What does this mean? Some of us are still anxious, and that's a feeling of being afraid. Man, I'm anxious about what's going on. Or maybe I'm just anxious about maybe a project that's been given to me. It's really challenging. I'm not sure that I've got the skills to be able to do it. And I've got to get through this. So it makes me uneasy, a little nervous, worried. And some of you said that you felt that way today. And then we've got this emotion of being ashamed. Man, I said something, I did something, I'm remorseful, I feel apologetic, or I'm just uncomfortable. Man, stepping out of my comfort zone sometimes can make me feel a little uncomfortable, and maybe I did something wrong and I'm ashamed of how I feel with that emotion. So again, all these 5 core emotions, and we've got these little emotions that, or they're not really little, they're big emotions, but we've got all these variations of emotions under these 5 categories. But yet and still, some of us may not know how to step into that emotion. You know, I heard something in a podcast recently, and it was from a counselor, it was from a psychologist. And that counselor said something that was really profound, and it sounds really, really simple, but a lot of us don't do it. Name it. If you have an emotion, name it. Put a name to it. A lot of times we don't do that. We have this feeling, we're not sure what to do with it, makes us feel uncomfortable. So, you know, I'm going to distract myself with this emotion. And so I'm going to try to bring myself back to a happy spot. But guess what happens? Then this emotion comes up again later on. and I'm not sure how to deal with it. And that's where emotional intelligence comes into play. So with emotional intelligence, there's 2 competencies and 5 skills. Let me say this. This is a very high overview of what emotional intelligence is. If you really want to dive into emotional intelligence, I encourage you to take the workshop. We've got a part 1 and a part 2. And if you're in a leadership role, I encourage you to take leading with emotional intelligence, because it's not going to only help you with your emotional intelligence, but it will help with you how to manage other people on your team. So again, this is a high overview taking from the emotional intelligence workshops that I created. So with personal competence, this is how you handle your emotions. And so we have 3 skills. And the first one is your self-awareness. It's your emotions. Again, putting a name to the emotion that you have. Under self-awareness, we've got your strengths, your weaknesses, how confident you feel in a situation, what your current mood is, and any actions that may result of the mood that you're feeling. This is the most important out of all the 5 skills. This is the most important piece to emotional intelligence. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you understand what your emotions are and you know how to manage your emotions, man, I've got some strengths, but I also have some weaknesses, and you know how to manage your strengths and your weaknesses, all the other 4 skills are going to come easier. But if you're lacking with self-awareness, the other skills are going to also be lacking. So when you take emotional intelligence workshop, I give you a pre-assessment for you to take so that you understand where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And if you know that your weaker area is self-awareness, that's where you want to start. Because once you have stronger self-awareness skills, again, all the other 4 emotional intelligence skills will be a little easier. So with self-awareness, a question you can ask is, what makes me tick? What makes me happy? What makes me sad? What makes me angry? What makes me ashamed? What makes me upset? What makes me tick? Then the second one with personal competence is your motivation. What is your engagement level? Where are you? We have this thing called barometer of trust that Stephen Covey introduced to us. And it is a barometer of trust. And you see, if you have taken leading a blended team, or if you've taken emotional intelligence, you would have seen this barometer of trust. It's a chart, and there's an engagement level for everybody, specifically employees in the workplace. And you're either below that dotted line or you're above that dotted line. And we take you through where you are, what it looks like for your level of engagement. But this is your sense of purpose, understanding your why. Why am I doing this and what my values are? Now, if you don't know what your values are, here's some homework for you. Google values, personal, professional values. Just Google it. You're going to come up with a lot of different links. But what I really want you to do is I want you to find just a chart of all the different values. And I want you to go through that chart, and I want you to pick just top 10 values that are important to you. I will tell you one of mine. One of mine is being a part of a team. That's really important to me. I can trace that back to my years of playing basketball. And team is really where I thrive. I like collaboration. I like working with each other. I like sharing my knowledge. I like gaining the knowledge from other people. I like that. And so I want to be a part of an area that is team oriented. I have that right now with my team. So that's an important value for me, and I carry that on. But what happens is, if I'm not a part of a team where I feel like that's lacking in my life, whether it's my personal life or professional life, I know that my attitude can change a little bit. I know that that's something that's lacking in my life. And so I'm seeking that out. I know that's a value of mine. That's a passion for me. I've got several other values, but I'm just sharing one with you. So I would say go through that list and circle your top 10 and then narrow it down to the top 5. What are my top 5 values? Am I getting that in my personal life and my professional life? And if your sense of engagement is high, if you know what your purpose is, you're going to do more than what's required. You're going to automatically do more than what's required. So a question you can ask is, what's your why? Why are you doing what you're doing here at OU? And then we've got self-management. Again, this is about you being able to control your emotions. You know how to react or not react to situations and to people. And so this is stepping into that emotion, regardless of how uncomfortable it is, and putting a name to it and saying, okay, is this a point where, or a situation where I need to react to this emotion, or do I need to pause on it? And in emotional intelligence workshops, I talk about what happens in our brain. We've got an emotional state of our brain and we've got a rational part of our brain. And what we want to do is we want that emotion to be paused so that it goes into the rational part of our brain, because those two areas have to work. So a question you can ask yourself is, how do you handle stress? Some of you said you were stressed today. How do you handle changes? How did you handle the changes that we had almost a year ago? All right, so again, personal competence, that's about you, self-awareness, motivation, self-management. Now we have this other part of emotional intelligence, and that's social competence. This is about other people, okay? So it's about how you connect with others, that relationship management. We have effective communication workshop and conflict management workshop. These are really good workshops that complement emotional intelligence. They help you understand what is your communication style and what someone else's communication style is, so that you know how to effectively talk to that person or how to address difficult situations with that person. We also have healthy conflict, and this is giving you the skills that when you have to address difficult situations, how to address them. Jerry does an amazing job with healthy conflict. So a question you can ask is, how do you interact with others? And let me say, how do you interact with others that don't look like you, talk like you, or act like you, that don't share the same mindset that you do, and that sometimes you don't agree with? How do you interact with those individuals? Because we all have really good relationships with people that look like us, talk like us, act like us, and we get along well with them. But really, relationship management is that flip side. How do we interact with people that aren't like us? And then we have social awareness. This is really your empathy to other people's feelings. What are your listening skills? Looking at those nonverbal nonverbal cues, so the body language, and then internal thoughts. What are your internal thoughts about a person? Do you walk into a relationship with another person, whether it's professional or personal? Do you walk into a relationship with these biases? Again, if they don't look like us, talk like us, act like us, I'm going to walk in and are already putting this person in a box. And then how I have empathy with them or how I interact with them is going to be dependent upon my biases for that person. And our biases come from our past experiences and our past background. So the question you can ask is, how do you adjust your reaction to others? What is it that you need to do to adjust? So again, this is the overall theme of emotional intelligence. And I encourage you to come and take this workshop so that we can really go through each competence and each skill, so that we could talk about where you are and how to, and I give you some strategies on how to improve each area. So if you want to learn more about emotional intelligence or emotional wellness, I've given you 12 different workshops that we have that are speaking to emotional wellness. We've got career growth, because it's about your motivation. Again, where are you as far as your career? Do you want to advance? We're going to give you some skills there. Effective communication, I addressed that, how your communication style is and how you communicate with others. Talked about emotional intelligence. Feedback to feed forward. This is coming out in March. This is a part of emotional intelligence is we got to understand how to coming out in March. Healthy conflict, I addressed that. High performance teams, because again, that's about your motivation. Leading with emotional intelligence, leadership. If you're in a leadership role, I highly encourage you to take that. along with leadership styles. Just like we have styles with communication, there's also styles with leadership, leading a blended team, managing change, because we're always going to be changing to new environments, networking, building that social skill, and then trust. We actually have 3 workshops with trust. You'll see a PD or a LD by each one of those. And PD just means that's a professional, or I'm sorry, a personal development type of workshop. And then we've got leadership development as well. Okay. So how do you get to these workshops? Well, I know this is small, but I'm just going to show you where it is. The wording is small and I apologize. But if you go to hr.ou.edu, at the very top, there is a area that's in that orange right here that is a training calendar. So once you click on the training calendar, we're going to have a list of all of our different workshops that pop up. And so you could just click on any one of those workshops. You'll see that this one, emotional intelligence, fills up really fast. And so if that's a workshop that you're interested in, I highly encourage you, look at our calendar. We've got workshops out through March. And you'll see that we have a max number of 25 and there's a waiting list. You can always be put on the waiting list. I actually had some people cancel for this week's workshop. So those on the waiting list move up. When you're ready to enroll, just you're going to click on the workshop name and then log into enroll. If that workshop is full, we're always going to have other dates that are listed for that workshop, and you'll see it over to the right. You can click, those are links, and so you can click on any one of those dates to bring you to another workshop. There's also LinkedIn Learning, and a lot of people don't know about this. If you're an OU employee, regardless of what campus you're on, you have access to LinkedIn Learning. It's free to all OU employees. And what that is, it's just an additional resource for you to get some professional development, personal development, or even technical skills. If you want to learn more about Excel, because we get that request a lot, go on to LinkedIn Learning. There's some classes out there for Excel. If there is a different field you want to learn in, maybe HR, IT, go to LinkedIn Learning. There's a lot of that information out there. There's also professional development and personal development. But what you'll want to do, again, go to hr.ou.edu, go to the employee section, learning and development. Under other resources, you'll see over to the right, there is a link for HSC employees and a link for Norman employees. Make sure you click on the correct link because that's the way you'll be able to log in. If you have any issues, you can contact that service desk at ouhsc.edu and they can assist you. So another request that we get a lot is, hey, I've taken these classes and I don't know how to determine what classes I've taken or when I took them. Well, all you have to do is go and log into self-service. Log into your account. So if you're HSC, then you're going to go to training and it's going to list all of those workshops, whether it's a professional development workshop or a required workshop you had to take as a result of maybe HIPAA or like all of us had to do COVID-19 training, but it's going to have a list of all those different workshops. So that's where you can find out your training history, whether it's through our HR team or it's a required workshop at our university. You can always go to self-service to find those different workshops. So I know that you get points today, and so I want to speak to that. With Live Well OU, today you get 150 points, and I'm going to let either Lindsay or Kaylee step in and speak to this because I know this is your expertise area. So Lindsay, do you want to jump in, or I see Kaylee's on here? Either one of you, want to jump in?
You bet. Yeah, like Angela said, so today we'll also send a follow-up email to everyone that attended, but you can log this one under emotional wellness workshop. Under each dimension of wellness, you have a spot to record your participation workshops. So we try to keep it real, that category real broad and open because we're aware you may do different ones on your own, whether it's, at work or maybe out in the community or whatever the case may be. So keeping those opportunities open and broad so you can record those things that you're already doing, not just limited to things that we promote or advertise. So you can just go under your quarterly activities, emotional wellness, and log this attendance under your emotional workshop, pardon me, and that gets you 150 points. And then, and Angela's probably going to speak a little bit to this as well, but with all the workshops she was talking about that they have through learning and organizational development, and like LinkedIn workshops, you can log those as well. So those you'll find under either like intellectual wellness or occupational wellness. It just kind of depends on if it's geared more towards personal development training or if it's professional development training. So there's additional opportunities there as well. So lots and lots of opportunities. Really want to encourage you guys to plug into these things and make you really aware of how all these different things help enhance your overall well-being.
Thank you, Lindsay. I dropped in chat. There is all of our workshop lists for HR, our learning and organizational development team. Download that, save it to your desktop so that you'll have it. This is any workshop that we have created and that will be launched as of March. So some of these workshops you won't see on our training calendar until March. I highly encourage you to take any of those workshops, and there should be a column that says professional development or personal development and then leadership, so you know what category they fall under, depending on where you want to be. The other thing I would say is keep watching our training calendar because we are creating new workshops almost monthly. So our team, there's 5 trainers. We are in the process of creating some additional workshops for 2021. So keep that workshop is going to, or that list is going to keep growing. Love this quote. It's by Daniel Goleman. If you're not familiar with who Daniel Goleman is, he's actually the one that created emotional intelligence, brought that into being. So he says, if you are tuned out of your own emotions, you will be poor at reading them in other people. And that goes back to self-awareness. If you are not familiar with your emotions, naming them, stepping into them, realizing that, oh, this is what that feels like, you're not going to have empathy for other people. So it starts with you, and that's why self-awareness is so important. If you have additional questions, of course, you can always reach out to me. I'm on the HSC campus, or I'm housed out of the HSC campus. I travel around, but you can always reach out to me, Angela Russell, or you can simply send an email to traininganddevelopment@ouhsc.edu. We are the training department for all 3 campuses. All right. Thank you, Kaylee, for that little bit of information out there, a little kudos. So I'm going to stop sharing this workshop. And what I want you to do is I want you just very quickly before we end, tell me what your takeaway was today with the overview that we talked about with emotional wellness. What was your takeaway? You can go ahead and put it in chat.
Hello.
You have to know you, actually. Emotions are a wide range. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Kaylee. Know yourself. Naming things is important. Learn the benefits of knowing your emotions, reviewing, right, and pinpointing values. Identify your emotions. Self-awareness is step 1. You're absolutely right. There's so much power in naming your emotions. If you're not self-aware, you can't understand. Naming your emotions, how to identify and deal with emotions. You're absolutely right. That is the very first step, self-awareness, and then understanding, stepping into that motion. And again, come with me, come hang out with me with emotional intelligence, and we're going to talk about giving you some strategies on how to do that. Yeah, great. Emotions are, Frida, you're absolutely right. Emotions are temporary. And I say, don't make a permanent decision on a temporary emotion. with your Fit Start program. And I know you all are going to do, oh, there she is. Lindsay, I know you got kicked out or you got lost connection. Do you want to close us out?
You bet. Sorry about that. Thank you. I was hoping, I was like, I think since you are a co-host, it kept going okay. Yes, where we'll have this recorded. You also, the list that you shared, I think I had a few asking if I could send that in the follow-up email. So yeah, absolutely. The list of different workshops from L&OD that Angela shared in the chats, I'll make sure and include those on the follow-up email as well. And then of course, if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you're not sure how to get in touch with L&OD, we can absolutely help get you guys connected with them. So Angela, really appreciate your presentation. I think it was a lot of great information, well put. It's a lot of things that we can be aware of, but it's good to have those reminders and different strategies on how to better approach things, because we all have somewhere where we can grow and learn. So I think that this is great information. So I hope you all can participate in some of these learning and organizational development. They are always coming out with new and great things. So, if you think you've taken all their workshops, they're going to come out with new stuff. So there's always going to be something. So thank you guys so much. I guess if there's any other questions, feel free to go ahead and keep putting those in the chat. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon.